So there's paleo and there's vegan, vegetarian, and keto. We've all heard of these diets, and one thing that they all have in common is that they're advertised as a weight loss regimen. I myself have bought into a lot of these over the years, and as a nutrition major, I've been able to come to terms with a lot of these diets and learn a lot about them throughout my education and through my personal practice as well. So the one thing that I do want to talk about today is actually the impact of a diet on the human body above and beyond weight loss. So today I'm going to speak about the history of the ketogenic diet, how the basis and foundation of it is made, and what the impact is on the human body. So a brief history of the diet and a brief description would be the ketogenic diet is described as a low carb and high fat intake diet. Brief history of it. The ketogenic diet was first recorded in the earliest 20th century in the 20s and 30s. The basis of the diet was actually used as medical treatment for children who suffered from epilepsy and seizures. Out of all of the children who participated in a ketogenic diet were recorded 50% of the children limited or virtually eliminated their seizures and convulsions. Although the study showed that this diet was more effective in handling childhood epilepsy, some adults also found relief in practicing the ketogenic diet as it relates to their number of seizures. So as time went on, keto became less relevant as a treatment for this disease when the pharmaceutical companies were able to start manufacturing anticonvulsant drugs. But although it became less relevant as a treatment in the 30s and 40s, if we fast forward to the 1970s, when physician Robert Atkins published a diet book highlighting the pros and cons of a low-carb diet. Actually, to be honest, the book only highlights the positives of a low-carb diet. So, very shockingly, when Robert Atkins himself suffered a major heart attack, his critics saw this instance as case in point why a high-fat diet is detrimental to the human body. So kind of like I've said before, the basis of keto is high-fat, low-carb. That's the basis of this entire eating plan. Fat and carbs are macronutrients, which means those are 2 out of the 3 main ways the human body absorbs fuel to produce energy. The ketogenic diet would actually restrict the number of carbs by 80% of the average diet and increase the fat intake by 70% of the average diet. Which would mean one practicing the ketogenic diet would look to eliminate refined carbs such as breads and pastas and replace those things with nuts and seeds and butter to create their average diet. So the next thing I want to take a look at is what is a carbohydrate, what is fat, and what makes up this diet. So what is a carb? What is a carbohydrate? So according to the Merriam-Webster, a carbohydrate is any various neutral compound of carbon, hydrogen, and oxygen, such as sugar, starches, and celluloses. In other words, carbohydrates are macronutrients, meaning that they are one of the 3 main ways the body obtains energy, as summed up by Paige Smathers, a Utah-based dietitian. As of 2017, the Dietary Guidelines for Americans recommends the average person to consume 65% of their daily calories in carbs. So, for example, a daily intake of 2,000 calories would estimate 1,300 calories dedicated to carbs alone, and which is an average diet. So based on these numbers, carbs would be the body's main source of energy. So what happens when keto comes into play, the keto diet that restricts all of these carbs? If your body and your brain is used to carbs to function, how does keto play into this? So that's what we're going to talk about next. Keto restricts the carb intake and increases the fat. By increasing the fat intake, what the body does is goes into ketosis, which is the process of developing ketones. These ketones are now the main source of energy. So the body is now deprived of carbs in the refined sense and is solely functioning and metabolizing the fat that one intakes. So ketones are now the main source of energy, and noticeable changes happen during this time, during this ketosis process. So one is likely to experience flu-like symptoms. They feel very sick at first. Also, another very notable sign of ketosis is bad breath. The long-term effects of these diets can be positive for some, but very debilitating for others. One thing that research has led to is noticing that non-alcoholic fatty liver syndrome is a likelihood for individuals who follow this diet long term. And this diet is actually very highly unrecommended for diabetics because the ketosis can lead to overproduction of ketones that are no longer in the muscles, but now found in the blood, which in process can send someone with diabetes into diabetic ketoacidosis, which is fatal. So in conclusion, the keto diet has a lot of main factors as far as limiting carb intake, increasing fat, and other than losing weight, there can be very beneficial aspects of this, but at the same time too, this can be a very detrimental diet if not checked regularly by a doctor. So I appreciate your time. Thank you for coming to my speech, and I hope you have a great rest of your day.